Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have vowed to take away your Second Amendment rights through gun bans, gun confiscation, and government regulations. Now, Joe Biden is no longer hiding his real intentions, and we need you to take action now.
Whether it's a 9mm pistol or whether it's a rifle is ridiculous. I'm continuing to push to eliminate the sale of those things. But
the Biden administration is coming after your right to own any gun, and we need you to text PROTECT2A to 888-762-0221. Joe Biden has already issued executive orders. He is now demanding Congress push through radical gun legislation. You can fight back to stop Joe Biden's gun grab, but you must text PROTECT2A to 888-762-0221. Take action to protect your right to keep and bear arms. We urgently need millions of Americans to text PROTECT2A to 888-762-0221. Text PROTECT2A to 888-762-0221.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Daily Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Joining me today is Charlie Cook of Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Charlie, where is the Stagecoach in America today?
The Stagecoach is in the home state of the occupied territory of Massachusetts. But tomorrow, I've got a show coming out from Ashburn, Virginia.
Okay. Keeping it on the East Coast during these winter months.
It is chilly, for sure.
And it's hard to get those Ferrari around in these winter driving conditions.
They're such low riders. They're not really good on ice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. That high horsepower, you get on the throttle just a little bit, they get all squirrely.
It's all over the place, man.
All right. So lots of stuff to get to today. When I looked this morning, when I start my day, I start looking for stories to start talking about during the Daily Bullet. And I thought this morning, boy, it's going to be a slow news day. We might have trouble getting things to talk about. And then in the last hour, lo and behold, things have been clicking along. We've had two press releases in the past 2 hours from the Second Amendment Foundation, and I want to read both those press releases because it comes from my boss. He pays my paycheck. I want to make sure he gets all the bang for the buck he can get. So first one. There was a Rasmussen report that came out today, and the SAF released a press release about that. This one says, while Joe Biden is pushing for more gun control laws, a new Rasmussen survey shows the majority of Americans think enforcement of existing laws makes more sense, and the Second Amendment Foundation says this reflects the widening chasm between the administration and the public it serves. According to Rasmussen, 63% of American adults believes the United States needs stricter enforcement of existing gun laws, while 28% disagree, constituting a better than 2-to-1 margin against the Biden agenda. The president was in New York pushing for additional restrictions on gun owners, the repeal of the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, and a ban on so-called assault weapons and original capacity magazine, but the public apparently isn't going along. Joe Biden's push for gun control is a dud, said SAF founder and executive vice president Alan M. Gottlieb. To quote the popular song, "Where Have All the Flowers Gone" by Peter, Paul, and Mary, when will they ever learn? Biden is old enough to remember the folk trio, but we're not sure if he actually does. That gets me. We've been running an informational campaign explaining Biden's gun control agenda, he continued. In his own words, Biden made it clear during a CNN town hall broadcast, whether it is a 9mm pistol or rifle, it is ridiculous. I'm continuing to push to eliminate the sale of those things. According to Rasmussen, only 42% of Americans want stricter gun control laws, while 49% say such laws aren't necessary. The same survey finds 54% of the people think enforcement of existing laws will do more to reduce gun-related violent crime, while 26% want new gun laws and 18% aren't sure. The survey also breaks down sentiments along party lines, revealing 69% of Republicans, 53% of independents, and even 28% of Democrats say the country does not need stricter gun laws. Clearly, Gottlieb said, the American majority and Joe Biden are on different tracks. It is disappointing but not surprising that 63% of Democrats want stricter gun control laws, suggesting the party may be out of touch with the majority of Americans as well. Well, such poll results get our attention because they give us and our members a detailed look at public sentiment on gun-related issues. He observed the numbers also strongly suggest that Biden and the majority of his party have become the gang that just couldn't shoot straight. Speaking for Paul Lathrop, you can count me among the 1% and growing amount of the population that thinks we should just get rid of all the darn gun laws. Because there isn't, and I think I said this on the Weekly Bullet on Saturday, there isn't a single darn gun law that's done a bit of good in the history of the United States of America. If you just tank them all, you're going to see crime go down in the United States, especially violent crime.
Paul, you are such a one-percenter. It's unbelievable.
I gotta say, man, I love the Peter, Paul, and Mary, and we talked a little bit about this at pre-show. I love the Peter, Paul, and Mary reference in there. That's right straight from when Biden was in his 60s. I mean,
right, when Biden could remember.
Exactly.
Before the Botox and hair plugs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God! I will say one of my favorite lines is whether it's a 9mm or a pistol or a rifle, I say, what is Joe saying? He wants everyone to shoot 45s. Is this what I'm hearing?
Well, we're getting closer to when he was younger, because the 1911 is right there.
This is true. Got us through 2 world wars. I mean, let's face it. Where do I want to start here? We've got another story that we may or may not get to that shows us that we can have all the gun laws we want. We can have all the gun laws they want, and we're still going to have crime. We're still going to have people that break the laws. So why do we need so many laws? And let's face it, even though they think the laws are going after the criminals, it's really going after you and I and all the people that watch and listen to this show. These are the people the laws are going to affect, because criminals aren't going to pay attention to the nonsense and the poppycock of all the gun laws that we have.
I want to get a comment up here real quick, and that is this one. Larry says, "Stop the violence. The gun issue will take care of itself." Larry, I think that's a little bit backwards. Get rid of the gun laws. The violence will go away. Let the people take care of the violence by taking care of themselves. Allow the people to arm themselves freely, and the violence will go away, and it'll go away rapidly.
And I bring this up in the classes that I teach. When Illinois came out, and they were the last state to allow its law-abiding citizens a licensing structure to be able to carry a firearm outside of their home. When they did that, the crime in Chicago dropped, because bad guys didn't know who was carrying and who wasn't carrying. They hadn't even come up with all of the nonsense for the training requirements and the fees and the cost and all this rigmarole. Mm-hmm. Poppycock rigmarole, boy, I got a thesaurus or something going on here. But they hadn't even done that, and the crime rate dropped. And then there were sheriffs in Illinois that came out and said, "Hey, listen, you've got a FOID card. The state says you can carry if you have a license. This is the license we issue. Carry if you want to carry."
Yep. There were a number before there ever was a concealed carry permit in Illinois. There were a number of sheriffs in southern Illinois that said, we're not going to give you a ticket for carrying if you've got a FOID card. Simply because that's something that we would give you if you could get one, and the state won't move. And there were like 4 or 5 counties that the sheriffs openly said, go ahead and carry if you've got a FOID card. And again, the crime down there is nowhere approaching what Chicago is.
Not at all. Another one here is our colleague and very good friend Amanda likes to talk about is the PLCAA, the Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act, and this does not. It should. What it does is not what it looks like, what people think it does. Particularly for the people that aren't in the know, it doesn't make it so that the firearm manufacturers are not responsible for items that do not work. It makes them not responsible for the illegal use of their lawful products. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it really shows to us guys, to us folks, it shows us the ignorance of the politicians that want to get rid of this. Like, this is the law that they have, and this is what we should, this is what we should abide by, and this makes sense. But they don't want to. They don't want to believe that.
Well, I want to get one more comment in that's going to lead us directly to our next story. And Diane says, I can't understand why Fox News reporter is not asking that gun laws are not working. New York is an example of strict gun laws not working. Criminals still have guns in a state with strict gun laws. And Diane, you're right, but let's. What I want to do, there's a story that I have up here. Let me see if I can find what tab, and I have to go to the correct browser first. There's a story I wanted to get to written by another good friend of ours, Tom Knighton, over at Bearing Arms. And over the weekend, there was a man in the Chicago area, speaking of Chicago, that was...
Another stronghold for gun control laws.
Yeah, charged with 27 counts of buying straw guns. No matter what you do with gun laws, there are going to be people that, there are going to be people that, well, I've got a clean record. I'll just go buy guns and I'll sell them to the people that can't buy guns. And and you're never going to totally, because even if you get most good people to comply with not selling guns to people who shouldn't have it, you're always going to have gangbanger go to baby mama and say, baby, you love me, right? Why don't you go get this for me? Because you love me. And if you really loved me, you'd do this for me. And baby mama's going to go, I do love him. I'm going to do this for him. And those will never, ever, ever be prosecuted because it's a guaranteed loser. At least politically, it's a guaranteed loser for the prosecutor because you're sending a single mom to prison.
Yeah. Baby mama rather than husband and father? Right. Yeah, 27. I mean, so here we have these laws. You have to have a FOID in order to buy a gun. Guy buys a gun. I'm sure in Illinois there's some sort of paperwork you have to do when you transfer firearms.
Beyond the 4473, there is.
Right. So yeah. So a transfer, not a purchase. But there's other paperwork, and he's not doing this, and he's still breaking the law, even though he passes background checks to get his FOID card.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you're never, ever, ever going to end the guns getting to people that shouldn't get them. And even if you were to magically stop all of the straw purchases, you're not. But if you could magically stop that, people are still going to steal guns. They're going to break into houses and steal guns. That happens. It's not going to stop. They're going to break into gun stores and steal guns.
That happened to some of our friends as well. I called into a talk radio show in Boston one time. It was a number of years ago. Obama was in office, and they were talking about background checks and all this. And I was going on about how they're ridiculous and nonsense, and the radio host said to me, she says, "Well, what if some gangbanger from Dorchester goes up to New Hampshire to buy guns where they don't do background checks and brings them back here and sells them on the street in Boston?" I said, "Everything you've asked me is illegal. You can't buy handguns in states you don't live in and bring them home. You can't sell guns to people that don't have licenses. All of this is illegal, and you want to make it more illegal." And then that's when the lady hung up on me.
Yep. Yeah, can't have opposing views on NPR. I mean,
National Putrid Radio.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, let me see what we got over here.
I think that was what we wanted to hit. That in Illinois, they've got a FOID card. They have someone that passed a background check that's still buying guns and selling them illegally.
Yeah, let's do that because we got not one, but we got two press releases from SAF. Let me get the second one up because there's a zinger in this one too. The other press release, this one actually came out first, came from SAF today. Anti-gun Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell wasted no time in attempting to create a myth early in his tenure when he told reporters Washington is one of the few states with a firearms preemption law, and he needs to come clean immediately, the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms said today. At his presser, Harrell, a longtime opponent of state preemption, which guarantees uniformity of firearms law from border to border, declared, quote, "You will hear this from me. You will hear this year me lead efforts on trying to get relief from the exemption RCW 9.41.290. You'll hear me talking about that. I don't know how many lives we have to be lost before we realize we're one of the few states that has that kind of restriction, allowing the state to govern the laws we need for our city of Seattle. Bruce Harrell needs to reload his brain before shooting his mouth off," said CCR KBA Chairman Alan Gottlieb. 42 states have preemption laws, and that's hardly a few states, as Harrell would have the public believe. Washington was among the first to adopt this law in 1983, and its statute has been used as a model by other states when they adopted similar statutes because they saw all the common sense of gun law uniformity. Harrell and other anti-gunners would have us roll back the calendar to a time when a literal state of confusion existed in Washington, he continued. Before preemption was widely adopted by state legislatures, we had a checkerboard of often conflicting local gun regulations. State lawmakers properly took control of this mess and cleaned it up with a single set of regulations that apply equally from the Canada border to the Columbia River. This is why you don't trust low-caliber politicians, Gottlieb observed. They don't shoot straight. Washington has led the nation in so many ways, and that certainly applies to gun law responsibility. Our state provided the roadmap for the majority of other states to bring not only uniformity but integrity to gun laws. And Harrell wants to bring back what amounts to chaos. Mayor Harrell has tried to invent a myth, and we're shocked that nobody in the local media challenged him on this, Gottlieb said. It's not difficult to find the truth about preemption and how widespread this reasonable national approach has become. The question reporters should now be asking is if the mayor was so wrong about preemption, what else is he wrong about? I live, from where I live, I can drive about 6 blocks and I'm in another city. If preemption were not the law in South Dakota, and it is, there could be different restrictions 6 blocks away from my house. I could get in my car and drive about 12 minutes and be in another state. Now, there most definitely are different gun laws in Minnesota than South Dakota, but there's a very clear delineation. And I absolutely know before I cross the border into Minnesota. Crossing the border from Sioux Falls into Brandon, not so much. But I get what Alan is saying here. You don't necessarily know when you're crossing a city border, and you could be a felon in on one side of the street and a hero on the other side.
Yeah, it's virtually impossible to keep up with. Look, it's impossible to keep up with the patchwork of gun laws that we have state by state. Now, if you want to break it down, not even county by county, but town by town, oh my God, you could drive down the same road, everything's fine, you get your gun on your hip, you cross the border, and now since the gun's on your hip, are you going to stop, pull over, unload it, put it in the back of your trunk, lock it in a hard shell container, and then continue to drive? One, it's obviously an issue when you're driving. Two, it's certainly going to make people freak out a little bit more if they see you opening your trunk and taking a gun out on the side of the road.
Right.
Ugh, these people just don't think, man.
No, they absolutely don't. And Seattle, excuse me, Seattle is geographically not a huge area. It's, as a former truck driver, it's a sizable city, and it's sizable population-wise, but geographically, yeah, in light traffic, you can be through there in a half an hour or so. What's really disturbing about this is if reciprocity goes away, Seattle will have their own laws, and then Redmond will have their own laws, and this city. I'm trying to remember.
Tacoma.
Yeah, Tacoma will have their own laws. I'm trying to think of the other cities around that in that little area, and it's just not populating. I'm getting a yell from the other side of the room, but I've got headsets on. I can't hear what she's saying. But each little town around there is going to have their own little laws, and there'll be absolutely no way the average person will be able to keep track of them all.
There's the apps that are out there. I use handgunlaw.us when I travel.
Me too.
There's no app. Yeah, there's no app that's going to be able to cover all of the laws in every state, or in every town, for God's sake. Excuse me, in every town. That's complete insanity.
Yeah. Let me.
Yeah, this line was great from Alan, that he needs to reload his brain before he shoots his mouth off. Oh my God!
They're letting out some zingers today, man.
They, I don't know what's in Alan's coffee, but God bless him, it's awesome.
I'm going to reach out, and one of the next several days of the Daily Blood, I'm going to have to see if I can get Alan on, because some of these are just
great.
Let's see here. And just get this Sandhills Media checking in.
All right. What is happening, John?
And over on the YouTube side, Baba Gaga says, "Baby mama versus child's mother." Just using the vernacular, man, because let's face it, I'm trying to reach over to demonstrate gangbangers and that vernacular. I'm not making racism out of this. Gangbangers, right. That's the term used for the child's mother, is baby mama. And when even in popular television culture, they're referred that way. And I'm going to get baby mama to do this or whatever, or baby daddy or whatever. Child's mother, child's father. So, that's at any rate.
Right.
Yeah, they're not, going back to that, a prosecutor, it's a absolute losing proposition to send a single mother to prison, which is what's going to happen often for...
Yeah, if they make the straw purchases.
Yeah, for straw purchases to stop, you're going to have to send a lot of single mothers to jail. for a long time to stop straw purchases, because it's going to have to get out to the street, to people who don't watch the news a lot, that, oh, if I do this and he gets involved in a crime with this gun, it comes back to me and I go to jail for a long time. So I'm not going to do that. That's what's going to take to stop straw purchases. And again, it'll never happen because the prosecutors won't prosecute that crime. So anyway, we are getting very close to the bottom of the hour, Charlie. You mentioned that you've got a riding shotgun releasing tomorrow from Virginia. You still on the 2-week schedule, or are you going to be coming up to go and releasing every week again?
They're deep down inside, I want to do a show every week, but logistically and financially, I can't keep up with that. I looked at my list. I think I have 3, maybe 4 shows to edit, but I'm actually looking at a trip in a couple weeks down to the Philly, Delaware area. Okay. And I'm hoping to get 2, maybe 3 shows down there. So I'm hoping to. This sounds horrible, but when I putting out a show every week for over 7 months in 2021 was incredible and amazing. And when I put out a show every other week, I feel like I'm not contributing anything. You know what I mean? So I want to find a way to get back on that every week schedule.
You know, if somebody wants to help, there is a way they can do that. They can get a great-looking riding shotgun with Charlie t-shirt or a mug or something like that, right?
Absolutely. I've got Gungram mugs. I've got riding shotgun mugs. I've got t-shirts. I've got some stickers. I mean, I'm trying to do all I can. And yes, I know it's not enough, but I'm trying to do everything I can to keep everything going, man.
Right. And so if you want to, I've got one myself. This is one of the few times Charlie's on the air and I don't have my riding shotgun with Charlie t-shirt on. But I love it. If you want a riding shotgun with t-shirt, if you get a t-shirt, it does help him get the Stagecoach across America and get the shows out every week instead of every 2 weeks. So one more thing, and we are going to shut this down. I want you to brag a little bit on, you won Blogger of the Year a few years ago from the Second Amendment Foundation. The joke was that you won Blogger of the Year and you don't write. Well, now you write.
Not only am I writing, so this was really cool. 2019, yes, I won the Ray Carter Blogger of the Year award, and I didn't write a word, and that kind of blew my mind. And I after I said that a bunch, I'm like, yeah, you really are a chump, Charlie. You know what I mean? But after that, AmmoLand started running the show, and I needed to write little show descriptions to run in AmmoLand. And there's a new publication that is coming out from the Swanson Media Group, and it is called Armed Lifestyle Magazine. And I'm repurposing the shows in Armed Lifestyle, and that's going to be, I think the first episode's going to be coming out sometime in March. So I know they're just getting all their social media up. So if you want to check out Armed Lifestyle from the Swanson Media Group, I'm going to be repurposing the shows, talking about lessons I've learned from the past shows I've had on the show. And I'm going to be writing there as well. So I'm now working my way to being a writer.
Very cool. Swanson Media Group. And they're not the same people that do the frozen TV dinners, right?
No, they're 2 different people.
Very cool.
That's the diet. It's the Swanson diet.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
All right. Well, folks, we are going to shut this down because I've got to retool this, and we got to do Polite Society podcast in about 30 minutes. So thank you for watching, everybody, and thank you for contributing, those of you who commented. We're going to step aside. Come join us again in 30 minutes for the Polite Society podcast. You do need to swing over to the SAF's page to see that one. But come join us here, 5 p.m. Central Time every day for the Daily Bulletin.